Welcome back in, everybody, to the JAKIB post-game show. Philadelphia Eagles get the win today, 28-3, moved to 4-2 on the year. Blew the Giants off the page today. They only had 100. What they have, Sileo?
119 total yards.
119 total yards of offense. I do want to remind everybody, all of our great viewers here on JAKIB Sports, become a member today. We'll be giving away a Saquon Barkley jersey this week, and then every time he goes over 125 all-purpose yards, we will give away a jersey right here on the channel to one of our channel members. So get your memberships in now. We will be giving away that on Birds 365 on Tuesday's edition of Birds 365. So get your memberships in, and we will be giving away a Saquon Barkley jersey. A massive day for him. 17 carries, 176 yards on the ground, and a touchdown versus his former team in his first game back.
188 total yards, actually,
yes, with the 11 passing yards as well. Great day for Saquon Barkley. Sills, let's go to that defensive side, man. A lot of guys stepping up, Dan. A lot of guys starting to show some promise on this team. Let's start with Nakobe Dean. 2 sacks today. Clearly, he can get after the quarterback when you unleash him. That is in his skill set. What'd you see from Nakobe Dean today?
They're moving him around more. And Vic is blitzing him more and using him in pressure. I think he's fitting the role that they thought Devin White was going to fit, where they were going to bring pressure with the linebackers. Because I'll tell you one thing he can do. He has a nose to get to the quarterback. And you're starting to see that now in the first 6 games of the year here, that he can get back there. Zander, it's starting to look like a little bit more. And again, the reason why you have to start saying this stuff is because he's trending here. His tackling and his angles are getting a tad better. He's still look, dude. TJ Edwards sucks when it comes to covering backs out of the backfield and tight ends. So there's not like there was some sort of massive drop off with Dean being in there when it came to covering tight ends and backs. TJ's not that great at it either. That's a real tough skill set. Very few linebackers can fill a hole and cover backs and tight ends coming out of the backfield. So to me, again, you're seeing that's the best football game I've seen him play as a pro. Okay. Since he's been a Philadelphia Eagle, that's his best game that he's played.
Yeah, I will say
11 tackles. He's still 11 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 TFLs, had 6 solo tackles in the game. It's the best I've seen him play. And if he can continue that trend and continue building upon this game here, I didn't think he was that great against Cleveland. He was
still terrible. Struggles in space, Sills. Like he can't. He really struggles. Yeah,
he does. But I think that could be also, Zander. You have to start doing this. Is that because, again, is that lack of reps? Remember something. Coming into this year, he only had 243 or 213 or 218 total reps as an NFL football player. Is he getting better because he's getting more playing time and he's healthier? That to me, you got to take that into consideration too. As critical as I've been of the guy, let's see more reps and what it does for him over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah,
plus
no
better quarterbacks. Plus better quarterbacks are coming up too over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The one thing I'm most high on today, because I know you beat up on 2 bad teams, and it's so easy to be like, oh yeah, you're falling back in to the hype. I'm excited because they showed a difference in approach this week, and they relied on that running game. I hope we see more of it. Big Sales, let's talk about Jaylen Carter now. 2 sacks for him. That big man is getting going. Starting to really show why he was chosen 9th overall in the draft. Your thoughts on Jaylen Carter and what you're seeing from him right now?
I think Jordan Davis still hurts him in there. I really do because, he gets most of the double teams in there. And if you had an opportunity to have another tackle in there or the nose tackle, I'm not saying you have to play like Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence was a freak show today. You understand why that guy is who he is. 2 sacks. Zander, this guy's got 9 sacks already in 6 games. So I'm not expecting him to be that. But I expect him to be somewhere in the room of Vita Vea. And if he ever did something like that, Carter's spacing in there in the middle would be a little bit more for him to operate. And for what he's been given so far, since the New Orleans game, you're starting to see him. I didn't like his effort against Tampa Bay. But again, you have to take 3-game sample sizes because that's creating trends when you think of a player. He's starting to show a little bit more consistency on showing up in the first, second, third, and fourth quarters. I thought he had a good game today. I really did. I thought for the first time you saw a four-quarter football game, he had pressure in the first half. And what else was important? He had pressure in the second half. What's the one thing that Jordan Davis has? Jordan Davis will come out of the gate like a bat out of hell.
Right.
And after that, you don't see him the rest of the ball game. Well, that's not the case here with Carter. You're starting to see him being impact first half, second half, and you're starting to see him flying around the ball. I'll tell you one thing. They had a hard time in there, the New York Giants. Their center and their guard, they had a hard time controlling him in there because I thought he did a nice job. Not that the Giants running backs or anything to sneeze at here, but still, again, he played proper technique, and that's not a Jaylen Carter thing. Every time I always pause myself when I do that. Hey, look, the Giants don't really have a great running back. Well, that's not Jaylen Carter's fault. Jaylen Carter has to play proper technique, make an impact, and he did.
No doubt about it. A good showing for him, and I'll rewatch the tape on Jordan Davis. He didn't jump off the page with sacks today, but I don't think he had a bad game, so I will review that.
No, when you hold Zander, when you hold the team to 119 yards,
yeah,
hard to pick out anybody having a bad game.
Exactly, especially on the defensive side.
I don't know if I've ever seen an NFL team held 100. The New York Giants are going to be destroyed in the media in New York this week. Dude, it's one thing to lose a game to the Eagles. It's another thing for Barkley to almost put up 200 yards in total offense against you, coming back into the building, and you're not able to put up 150 yards in total offense against a division rival. 119 total. I can't think the last time dude, that's college football stuff right there when you're holding a team to 119. That's Bama back in the day against
Don't even mention right now. Don't even mention Alabama right now. I don't want to think about that
right now, man.
I got one win this weekend. All right, the Birds got the win today. My Crimson Tide collapsed versus the Tennessee, Volunteers, and I hate Tennessee. I know we have some people. I hate Tennessee. I had a couple game days in Tennessee in my time in Alabama.
Their fans suck.
Yeah, they're passionate, but F them, as we would say down there in Bama. Big Sales, Nolan Smith. The guy is starting to show signs of life. Not only you, but me. We're very hard on him early in the year. I'm like, this is a first-round player, everybody, a first-rounder. Well, he's starting to look the part, at least to some extent, starting to show he's not a liability on the field. What do you have? 1 sack today, but I thought he set the edge well. He seems to be more of a 3-down player than Bryce Huff is. Your thoughts on Nolan Smith and what you're seeing from him?
The only thing that I'm a little nervous on is that, are you hiding a lot of the deficiencies with these two guys by bringing them in pressure? Because tackling, there's still issues with those two men. And I'm talking Dean and Nolan Smith. Because they're bringing – dude, Nolan Smith is being brought a lot in pressure now. Vic has amped it up. The last 2 weeks, Zander, I wonder if they came to an epiphany and went like this. We can't sit back. Because if we sit back, they're going to run the ball on us, and they're going to throw the ball on us. Because the last 2 weeks, would you not agree? The pressure has been amped up by Vic, and the blitzing has been amped up by him by bringing linebackers. So to me, once again, it's Cleveland and the Giants. It's correct in how you should view that. Hey, take it with a grain of salt, but take a look at what you're doing. Don't worry about what the Giants could not do. Worry about what you're doing. And they brought pressure. There's guys looking like they're starting to develop a little bit. Again, we'll see how this whole thing plays out. Remember a year ago, Zander, everybody was jumping the gun trying to tell me that Jordan Davis was going to be a football player, and he had a really nice stretch of 4 games. He ended up being a turd. Let's see how this thing plays out by the end of the year here and how these guys do. It was a really good game for Nakobe. It was a solid game for Nolan. We had a sighting when it came to Bryce. But at the end of the day, it's a 17-game football season. And not one of the players that we just mentioned has been consistent in any matter so far this year.
Fair enough. Bryce Huff, though, showed up 2nd week in a row. Now, he didn't get on the board fully last week, but he had a half a sack last week. He gets on the board with a full sack today. Your thoughts on him and how he's developing into the year?
Not quite the replacement of Hassan Reddick, obviously. And he's a cheap man's version of him as of right now because Reddick created problems for teams. And he doesn't create a problem. He shows up at certain signs. They need a little more from him. Remember something, Zander. You have to compare him to Reddick because that's who we replaced. And so far, I don't see it. He showed up today. Okay. Well, that's an everyday event for Hassan Reddick if Matt Patricia's not your DC. If Matt Patricia's not your DC, he's going to get you 29 sacks. Do you realize that that guy got you 20? What did he get you? 30 sacks in 2 years, counting the postseason. That's what that guy's got to live up to. 30 sacks in 2 years is what Reddick. And so far, you know what? Nice. Half a sack. Well, all right. You know, we need more. They need more out of them. If you want to go where you want to go, they need a ton more out of him.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. There's no doubt about it. By the way, Sam Reddick gets it worked out finally. I knew they would. Once he hired Drew, I said he's going to get that worked out. He'll be playing in no time, and that's what happened. You know who Silzo, I think, has been flying under the radar this year, but has been promising, and that's Josh Sweat. He had another sack today. I think he's been your overall best edge rusher this year. Hasn't been great, hasn't jumped off the page, but he's been consistent and solid. Your thoughts on Josh Sweat?
He's been the best defensive lineman they've had. And then I would put in there second would be Brandon Graham would be the second best, because Sweat. So, I mean, the reason that Huff got that sack was because Sweat was back there. And I think Josh had another sack today too. And he's showing up, dude. I mean, he sets the edge well. He pressured the quarterback the entire football game. Got to tell you, man, Josh Sweat looks like 22 Josh Sweat as of right now. And he's playing really good ball. He's good in the run. He's creating hits on the quarterback. I like what I'm seeing with him, man. He is their most consistent defensive lineman at getting to the quarterback and creating pressure than any front four guy they have.
No doubt about it. Great stuff there. We're going to wait to talk to John McMullen. Coming up here shortly on the JAKIB postgame show, we will get Johnny Mac up. John, Sills, any other key takeaways on this game? I thought Quinyon Mitchell, we'll go to Quinyon. I thought he had a nice game. I think he's really putting together a great rookie season and showing what the future could hold with this young man. Remember, everybody, he's a rookie. You know, there's going to be moments where he gets beat, but overall, this looks like he looks like we got a dog at corner. And I'll say that about Quinyon. Your thoughts on what you've seen from him so far?
They're developing him well. And how about this? The more pressure they get, the better he's going to look. So like today, he looked really well. He looked really good because the pressure was there. Even Slay looked good today, man. I mean, there were times in there where Darius Slay, and I love what Slay does. You know what he'll do? He'll take a penalty on holding so that he doesn't give up the big 25-yard play, the explosion plays. Dude, I'll take that any day too, especially when you're in the middle of the field.
Yeah, it's kind of smart football. Actually.
He's a smart football guy. His intelligence and his IQ to play that position. You see why when Johnny Mac says if they're going to move anybody and travel anybody back there, it's going to be him because of his intelligence and his football IQ. But, you know, hey, he got banged up and he's been playing a little bit banged up out there. And I got to tell you, man, they don't really threaten his side of the football a lot of the time. Now, look, the last two football teams don't really have anybody to threaten you with. Okay, so we'll find out over these next couple of weeks on how he's going to play because you got some really good quarterbacks coming up here. But, dude, like I said, my takeaway with him was good. And Kellen Moore, my takeaway with him was that he called a great football game. They went to the strength of what they were doing, and they went to the weakness of what the Giants couldn't do, and they stuck to it the entire game. I mean, I'm still stuck on this. 14 passing attempts, and you kill a team by 25 points. That's how you blow a team out when you know how to beat a team. Right there, I'm going to say this to you, Zander. Jimmy Johnson came on this program and said there's offensive coordinators that want to put big stats up, but there's offensive coordinators that want to win a game. Kellen Moore wanted to win a game. They didn't put big stats up offensively. I mean, throwing the ball, who had the big game? I mean, I don't even know. What did
AJ didn't even have 100 yards. I mean, he had 5 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown.
And look at everybody else. 11, quarterback had 114.
I mean, Hurts only had 114 passing yards. Yeah. 89 of them were to AJ.
But what was the most significant thing that I just said to you is that the coordinator didn't care about that. The coordinator knew what was working and wasn't looking for statistics.
And you shouldn't. You shouldn't care about that.
But a lot of guys do. Well, wait, last year you did. Last year, everyone got big stats and no wins at the end.
Well, you know who else cares about it is the freaking dudes upstairs, the owner and the GM who love the passing.
This is how you take control of a game. Dude, that's impressive. 14 passing attempts and you crush a team.
Yeah, I would love to be a fly on the wall in Jeffrey Lurie's office today. Is he happy? Or is
he happy for Barkley?
Or is he like, why, I don't want to be this team. I don't want to be a ground and pound team. I don't know. I mean, that's my concern that of why they're going to get back to that is because the man upstairs who wants them to pass the ball all over the field. Let's get to a couple super chats. We're waiting on John McMullen. I'm waiting for him to text me back. He should be in shortly. Bearded Willie with some love. Appreciate it, Bearded Willie. He says, sorry, this is off topic. Last week I was thinking in my head, Hurts just has to manage the game. He doesn't have to work it. He has so much talent around him. Just don't turn the ball over and let your players win. I think you saw some of that today, Bearded. Thank you for the $20 super chat, my man. Big Sil's your response to Bearded Willie.
Bearded Willie, let me ask you something here when it comes to running a company or anything else. How much do you think a CEO actually does on a day-to-day basis when he's trying to run a company or he's trying to do something to make more profit for his company? You know what he does? He sits in his office and allows his employees to go ahead and work the system. You have market managers, you have department managers, and all those guys report to him, and all those guys go and do their business. My point in this whole thing is that people want to call Jalen Hurts a game manager. Well, isn't that what a corporate CEO does when you're out there in a huddle? Hey, let's figure out what it's going to take to win the game, and you have to be surgical with it. Sometimes, you know what? You need brain surgery. Sometimes you need your knee fixed. Sometimes you need an ankle fixed. You have to figure it out as a quarterback who's going to be a player like Jalen, who's going to be a game manager. That was a game managed game for him. And you know what? That's one of the best games I've seen him play because he didn't get in the way. The offensive coordinator didn't get in the way, and they weren't trying to put a square peg in a round hole. They went out and they said, Barkley's going to carry the mail. Okay, Saquon, it's your turn. Last week it was AJ's turn. This week it was Barkley's turn. That's what a game managing quarterback does. Isn't that what Brock Purdy does? Purdy does the same stuff. I mean, you're trying to find the weakness in the team and you're trying to get matchups. Plus, again, like Gabe says here, no turnovers, dude. Second game in a row. Look at how little Jalen has to do when he has no turnovers. Last week, 260. This week, 114, right? No turnovers, and you blow a team out. How about this, Zander? He did less this week and killed a Giants team who is a division foe by 25 points. It's great. It's
Big Sills. Is bully ball back in Philly?
No. Until you prove it to me.
I just want bully ball to be back. Why do I love bully ball so much, Big Sills?
No, because you got a $50 million quarterback and a $35 million receiver and a $25 million receiver and a $15 million tight end. What do you think they're going to do? You're not paying for that to sit there and hand the ball off and have him run behind Fred Johnson. That's not what you're paying that offense to do, dude. Now, once again, you and me will go, but dude, look what happened today. Look what happens when that team gets rolling downhill. No shit. They haven't done that since 2022. That's the best running attack that they've had since 2022. 23, they were nowhere in that room. They had 270 yards and running the ball, man. Dude, you got people in Philly standing out front of the NovaCare Center telling people with a sign, run the ball. Really? What an epiphany. Do I think it's back? Absolutely not. Do I think it's back? Because I'll tell you why. A team with a better quarterback gets a lead on you, you'll start throwing the ball and you'll get away from the run.
Hopefully not. I like what they did today, man. I thought that was a great recipe. Another super chat here. Brian Fleming. Ben Van Sumeren as a fullback throwing a huge block for a big run from Saquon. How hard were J-Mac's nipples? Also, you guys are the best. That was a nice block by Ben Van Sumeren. Did you see that, Big Sills?
How about them putting him in there now on the defensive side of the football? You see all the linebackers over there and the defensive guys laughing and stuff like that. I'll tell you this. If I was the New York Giants, I'd be a little bit embarrassed that they're now using dudes. What do you think who's this guy? Red Grange? Who's this guy? Chuck Bednarik? What do we got? Two-way players now? Guys blowing up defensive football players? Holy cow, man. I'd be like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, great stuff. MJ checks in. He says, running the ball like this can help Jalen Hurts because it sets up the play action further, assisting Jalen Hurts' progression as a quarterback. MJ, it's so common knowledge. I love that you're saying it, but, man, I hope the Eagles organization.
MJ, why do you think AJ was open single coverage down the sideline? They were worried about Barkley. I mean, they had to play closer to the line of scrimmage. They were worried about Saquon Barkley ripping those runs off up the middle of the defense. and they had to play closer to the line, which created single coverage. I couldn't believe, Zander, how many times the Giants defensively single covered AJ. And I'm like, dude, he's going to win that every single if Hurts can get the ball near him, okay, he's catching that. The Giants had nobody that could stop him. And I'm like, why are you single covering him? I thought that was a defensive flaw that the Giants have. But then again, maybe they didn't have enough personnel to cover the dude because, that was one of the big takeaways from training camp with the Giants is that their secondary is not, and we said it, their secondary is just not very talented.
Waiting on John McMullen now. We're going to get him up shortly. Hopefully he gets out. I don't know if you guys are watching, if the Eagles are on a press conference right now. That's probably what John is doing. Caleb checks in. I've been the madman on top of the mountain for weeks and feel heard. Nothing can make me feel like we're not trending up. 2 weeks of the run formula. Caleb has been sounding off Big Sills. He was on the post-game show the last couple of weeks. He wants this team to build around running the football. You saw that today, and you saw how well it can work. I hope they stick to it. Your response.
Okay, well, let's do this. What if they throw the ball 37 times and they run the ball 18 times next week? Are you going to think bully ball's back?
No, I'm not going to think bully ball.
Okay, well then that's what we have. This is why we have to see how they're going to attack and how they're going to approach. The last 2 weeks, last week they had over 30 carries, right, against the Browns. This week they got over 30 carries against the Giants. Do you think that's one more game like that? Zander, it's a trend. 3 games are a trend. That's how you build your trend book up for your next opponent. Right, like the next opponent. Who's the next opponent right now for the Eagles? The next opponent for the Eagles is going to go the last 3 games and the last time that they played. And they're going to look at it and go, okay, here's what we did, and here's what we did well, and here's what we didn't do well against them. And they're going to look at the last 3 weeks, and they're probably going to look, because it's such a small sample size, the first 6 games. And that's what they're going to do, and they're going to build a trend book up. And a trend book is this. Every player gets them on Wednesday. They like to do this on 1st and 10. They like to do this on 2nd and 8. They like to do this on 3rd and 5. You're going to know all the favorite plays of the Philadelphia Eagles, and when you start seeing run plays, you're going to know that you're going to have a 2-mouthpiece game. You know what that means? Hey, buckle up, dude. They're going to try to run the ball down your throat. Those are always the more difficult games to play against. Dude, I'd rather play against a team that throws the ball 50 times anytime. You know why? It's just wind it up and rear back and rush the passer. When you got guys running the ball at you like that, man, and you can't stop it, that is a tough ball game. When you have a team run the ball, like the Giants, you see them quitting at the end. Look at what the Eagles did to this Giants team. By the end of the game, they were quitting because they had beat the starch out of them. You don't beat the starch out of somebody throwing the ball 40 times.
No, you don't. You're right about that. No doubt about it. I mean, you're a defensive guy. When somebody's running the ball on you and you can't stop it, there's nothing more demoralizing.
There's nothing more defeating. Dude, if a guy throws the ball for 500 yards, I don't care. But if a guy runs the ball and a team runs the ball for 270 yards on me, holy cow, man. Believe me, the defensive meetings for the Giants come Monday are going to be awful hard to be with because you got the shit kicked out of you in that game. Okay, you got beat by 25, and they threw. The coordinator's going to say this. Dude, this was a 1927 football game where the Eagles only threw the ball 14 times. They ran the ball 50 times down your throat. Can't happen. Can't win games like that. And that defense got run off the field.
Yep, no doubt about it. One more super chat, and we have John McMullen walking up now from the press conferences. A little behind. I think the players came out a little bit late today. Sorry about that. John will be up shortly. Bearded says, like Purdy, just manage the game. You don't have to win it. And the result was running the ball more and a blowout. It's a great point. Sorry, Zander, for the Bama squad. Yeah, tough one there, Bearded. But no, he's right. And this is why I think, Sills, why I started the show with it. Bully ball, baby. Back in the city of brotherly love. Oh, you know what else is back, Sills? You know what else is back for the time being, Sills?
Oh, no holds defense.
The no holds defense.
Look at Philly fan. Look at this. I'm going to have to hear a whole week of this stuff here.
No holds,
the no holds defense is back against the New York Giants. who had
Oh,
108. Congratulations to you, man. All right.
where was the hole today?
Hey, we'll see how that works against the
It's
Ravens.
like, where's Waldo? Where was the hole today on defense? I don't see it. 119 total
We'll
yards.
see against the Ravens how that works.
Yeah, that's true. That'll be a good test. We'll see what happens there. Appreciate everybody checking in on the Super Chats. We'll get to a couple more before I get John up. And this is a question for John, and I'll bring it up to John. At the beginning of the year, J-Mac said the offense runs through Brown and Smith. Well, not with this. Hurts and O runs through Barkley and O-line. That's what it should run through. I believe that.
And that's what it has run through. But I'll tell you what makes Brown and Barkley, are you have to pick which one do you want to have beat you? Because A.J. Brown, I'm going to make a point to you here about A.J. Brown here, Zander. Can you name a wide receiver that's tougher after the catch than him? No. Not just because he's a Philly guy, but can you give me Justin Jefferson? I mean, right? Devontae?
Maybe DK Metcalf, but I think DK's bigger. Fluid. I don't think he imposes his physicality as much as AJ does.
Yeah.
I like DK. I think you're right. I think AJ Brown could be the toughest guy after the catch right now in the league.
I mean, Debo maybe.
Yeah.
But he's not consistent enough. You know what I mean? And he doesn't put up the numbers that you see with with AJ. AJ puts, once he catches that, his hand strength and his jump balls, the way he goes after jump footballs, he's as good as he's got a little like T.O. in him when it comes to going after those jump footballs, man. A little bit of Terrell Owens. And a little bit of Michael Irvin, the way he plays like that. Dude, I'll tell you what. That guy was so underutilized in Tennessee that guy Robinson, what's his name? John Robinson, who was the general manager in Tennessee. I'll tell you this, Joe Schoen, man, he must have a meeting tonight. It might be tonight with John Mara. Hey, dude, I told you not to let that guy go. First game back in MetLife, that dude puts up almost 200 yards in total offense against us, and the quarterback threw 14 passes, and they blew us out. This is on you. That was a poor decision. Let me say this to you. What do you think the Giants would have looked like if they would have had Barkley on the other side of the ball with neighbors in there? You think that would have helped? That's what I'd be saying if I'm John Mara. I'm going, wait a minute now. We let that guy go. Aren't we trying to get more talent around the quarterback? Remember what his attitude was? Thank God they don't think that way in Philly. Remember what Joe Schoen said? Hey, I'm not paying my quarterback $50 million to pay my running back $12 million. Well, they do that in Philly. And look at the result. The result was a 25-point win.
No doubt. Sills, can we shut this man up? He says, I don't give a super, so I don't get my comment read. Philly, come on, man. He says, Zander told Sills to have positive opinions today. I know Sills will have a show this week on Jalen's lousy stats. Let me just clear the air. Sileo, have I ever once told you what to talk about on the air?
Let me just point out what this dick is doing right here so that he doesn't understand how you're supposed to do a pre- and post-game show. When a football team puts an effort like that out, you're supposed to report on what they do. Very little of it comes down to what you hope. My show will be all opinion on Monday on what I think about my opinion. But when you're looking at me to give you what a post-game analyst would do, they played great on defense. They ran the football. They created an identity today. What the fuck do you want me to say, Philly? You want me to start bullshit lying to you saying that they sucked out loud? That's not what happened.
Philly's looking to be lied to. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Let's get to our man, John McMullen, live from MetLife Stadium right now, joining us on the show. Johnny Mac, big win today, 28-3. The Philadelphia Eagles blowed them off the page. John, tell me I'm crazy, John. Is bully ball back in the city of Philadelphia, John McMullen?